Fox 17 News at 4 starts right now.
Now on Fox 17 News at 4, a person is in custody in connection to stabbing a woman in West Michigan. We'll have the latest on the investigation.
Transgender students deserve a safe learning environment.
There's a lot of dangerous aspects to this.
The State Board of Education takes on transgender bathroom use in Michigan schools. What parents and students have to say about it.
We've got solid rain falling across most of our Fox 17 viewing area now. When does it end? And warmer temperatures up the next 2 days before a big weekend cool down. Your forecast is next.
First at 4, police are investigating after a 2-year-old girl was found inside a house with a dead body. New this afternoon, the toddler may have been fending for herself for 2 days. Fox 17's Cassandra Arsenault broke this story first in our midday show. She is live now in Kent City with the latest on this. Cassie.
Michelle, as you can probably already imagine, this is truly a traumatic situation for everyone involved, especially that 2-year-old who close family and friends say of the deceased could have been in there for up to 2 days at this point. Now, there was no obvious signs of injury or trauma on that little girl. So the good news is that officials tell us she's going to be okay. We're back at the scene right now where you can see it's much quieter than it was earlier today. The Kent County Sheriff's Department tells us it was a 49-year-old man taking care of the 2.5-year-old girl. Now, they are not related, but just family friends. Family of the victim came to check on the man. That man was identified by their family minister, who was also on scene as we were, and he said his name was Ron Finkler, the deceased man. Now, family came to check on Finkler because they'd not heard from him in several days. That's when they found him dead and the little girl also in the house, and they immediately called 911.
Obviously, it's an unknown cause at this point, so we want to make sure we treat this investigation procedure like we would any unknown death. There's nothing to indicate at this point that it was any type of criminal activity, but we want to make sure we investigate it to the fullest extent, of course.
Now, as you just heard, there's nothing criminal or suspicious so far about their investigation, but they are going to continue to do this by the book to make sure that is the case. For now in Kent City, Cassandra Arsenault, Fox 17 News.
All right, Cassie, thanks. Less than a week after a Portage mother was stabbed inside her own home, police are now telling Fox 17 they have a suspect in custody. Doug Reardon joins us now live outside police headquarters with the latest. So, Doug, what do we know about the suspect?
Well, Michelle, very little at this point. Even after speaking to police today, they're actually holding off on releasing too much information until that suspect's arraignment, and that will be tomorrow. It's been less than 6 days, actually, just barely, but less than 6 days since Victoria Enos was stabbed inside of her home multiple times on Cord Drive, and right now we're told that she is in stable condition. But as far as the suspect goes, still a bit of a mystery as to who this actually could be. We know that Enos had a personal protection order against her ex-husband, so there was some speculation there, but this suspect, we're told, is a 19-year-old man. Police are telling us her husband has been cleared as a suspect for right now. Beyond that, investigators aren't really saying much more on who they arrested today. They do tell me, though, that they spent nearly 40 hours on the scene after that violence took place, and with today's arrest, they tell me that was certainly time well spent.
We've had our lab team on scene for probably 36 hours at the house. It was a very difficult, tedious scene to process. While at the same time our detectives who weren't at the scene were following up on leads and information from the family members and from the victim. And that led us to create a theory based on what we were hearing. Following those leads and theory led us to our suspect.
Again, a suspect we really still don't know much about. 19-year-old male, that's about it. You'll remember a suspect description was never released, so questions now remain. Who is this person? What was his connection to Enos? And of course, what was his motivation? These are all questions that we're hoping get answered with the arraignment beginning tomorrow. We'll, of course, keep you updated on that. Live outside of Portage Police Department headquarters, Doug Reardon, Fox 17 News.
A rainy, dreary day around West Michigan. Kevin is in the Weather Center now with just how long this rain's going to stick around, Kevin.
Yeah, for the next few hours and probably into the early evening before it tapers off. We can almost see an end to part of it right now. Thanks, Michelle. Good afternoon, everybody. You'll still need the umbrella over the next few hours. All this rain lifting from the south to the north. It's generally some light to steady rain. There might be some moderate areas in these places in yellow where you see that transitioning. But through Oceana, Newaygo, most of Mecosta County, Montcalm, Newaygo we mentioned, also Muskegon County. To the south we go across Ottawa, Kent, Ionia counties. Again, seeing some light to steady rain. When you get to the areas like through Ionia where you see those areas in yellows and orange, that's a little bit steadier, maybe almost some moderate rain that's falling there. The back edge of this is right over Van Buren County right now, and that's lifting to the north from the south. And you can see already places like Berrien, Cass, part of St. Joe County already beginning to dry out. We'll pull out to a wider perspective. All this coming up like so. There's a few thunderstorms on the other side of Chicago. I see this tapering off probably by the time we get into about 6, 7, 8 o'clock this evening, and then we'll just be left with mainly cloudy skies after that. Pull out to a wider perspective. There's an enhanced severe look out here over Kentucky. Those are all the storms that produced those tornadoes over places like Oklahoma yesterday, just south of Oklahoma City. So this will be the area under the gun. We're not under that area, so no problem there. Our temperatures went nowhere today, generally stuck in the 50s. And as we look at our evening planner, we'll have some scattered showers still hanging around by about 7 p.m. They should taper off after that. Mostly cloudy, 50 degrees at 9 p.m., down to 49 degrees by 11 p.m. We got a couple of reasonably warm days coming up here, around 70 or better the next couple of days. More storms coming in here, I think, for us on Thursday, and then the temperatures crash after that. We've got the numbers for you coming up in just a few minutes, Michelle.
All right, thanks, Kevin.
Alrighty.
The clash over transgender bathroom use in Michigan schools boiled over in Lansing today. Fox 17 political reporter Josh Sidorowitz is at the Capitol, where lines were out the door as parents and students packed into a state Board of Education meeting.
Michelle, a big crowd and a divided crowd at that. Hundreds of people here taking what was their final chance to get in front of the State Board of Education to let them know how they feel about this proposal here in Lansing. The question, should transgender students be able to use the bathroom in their school that fits their gender identity, or the gender on their birth certificate? Now, these guidelines, you might remember, first introduced by the State Board of Ed. That was back in March. They've since been making waves. They are policies, mind you, that include voluntary guidelines that go beyond bathroom use. They include addressing students by chosen names and using gender pronouns that match a student's gender identity. Feelings on these proposals so strong that the board extended the window for public comment opportunities by more than a month here. The response, it has been swift and it has been vocal from both sides. Listen.
And so we don't want our Michigan Board of Education or our schools to just be allowed or be promoted to engender what might amount to child abuse.
For me, it just helps to know that the government is valuing me as an equal human being.
And some state lawmakers here are already vowing preemptive pushes to change the law that would make sure that students would only be allowed to use the bathrooms in their schools that match their birth certificate. We will take you inside this packed meeting, and where does this all go from here now that everyone has had a chance to say their piece? That's coming up. Fox 17 News at 5 and 6. We are in Lansing. Josh Sidorowitz, Fox 17 News.
We have some developing stories to get to today. Derek Francis is in the newsroom now with a few updates. Derek?
Yeah, we do have a couple updates, Michelle. In fact, we have a positive identification on that body found after a boat fire over the weekend in Ottawa County. The medical examiner has positively identified the victim as that of 45-year-old David Knisley. The autopsy also determined Knisley died of smoke inhalation this weekend. It happened Sunday morning at the Barrett Boat Works Marina in Spring Lake. He was a lieutenant with the Grand Rapids Fire Department, and he also hosted a special on WKTV, a special access station for Wyoming and Kentwood. Officials, meanwhile, still investigating the cause of that fatal fire. Recent test results, meanwhile, show there are no mumps cases at Calvin College. That's some good news today. The school says they have been working with staff and students after the discovery of the suspected mumps cases among students there, but so far 3 tests have all come back negative. Test results on a 4th case are still pending today. Last Friday, you may recall, the Kent County Health Department offered free vaccinations to about 40 unvaccinated students at Calvin. More than a dozen are still unvaccinated as of Tuesday. The County Health Department, meanwhile, recommends everyone at the school stay up to date with their immunizations. And some good news for Garth Brooks fans. If you missed out on tickets for all of his shows this weekend in Grand Rapids at Van Andel Arena, some new ones have just been released. There are a few tickets still available for some of those early shows, specifically on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. But as always, like the original round, you know they will go quickly. So make sure you head over to Ticketmaster.com or call Van Andel Arena's box office as soon as possible if you still don't have your tickets. Michelle?
All right, thanks, Derek. A bill designed to alert people to an active shooter has passed the State House. The bill was approved just a few minutes ago. It was proposed after the Kalamazoo shooting spree in February, with victims' families speaking in support of the bill during hearings last month. It would create an alert system similar to an Amber Alert to let the public know if there is an active shooter on the loose in their area. Now, it still needs to be approved by the Michigan Senate. Of course, we'll keep you updated on that. The former city administrator of Flint is now suing Mayor Karen Weaver. Natasha Henderson claims that she was fired after raising concerns about Weaver's fundraising tactics. Her federal suit accuses the mayor of diverting money intended for victims of the city's water crisis to her personal campaign fund. Henderson was fired in February along with the city's police and fire chiefs. A spokesperson for the mayor says she can't comment on the lawsuit. One fireman had to be taken to the hospital during an early morning house fire in Grand Rapids Heritage Hill area. The call came in just before 3:30 this morning at 16 Portsmouth Place, just off Fulton Street. When crews arrived, they found flames on the first floor and heavy smoke on the second. Now, there are 3 apartments in that house with 5 people living there. They all made it out safely, but listen as one woman describes her dramatic escape.
So I grab our cast iron skillet and I wail on the window glass and I break it. I break all of it. I crawl out. I get cut. My boyfriend Mitch hands me our dog. So I have the dog. He crawls through. So then we're on the carport roof and yelling for somebody to grab us a ladder, and they did.
They're all okay. One firefighter did suffer minor injuries. The cause of that fire is still under investigation. Students at one school in West Michigan were sent home early following a small fire at the building this morning. Smoke was discovered at 9:45 in Cherry Creek Elementary in Lowell. The building was evacuated immediately. Students were transported to the middle school where their parents could pick them up. Officials say they are currently investigating to determine the cause, but they believe that fire was started in the bathroom by a student. Classes at Cherry Creek will resume tomorrow. A local police department honoring fallen officers today. Will have more on a special memorial service that was held. It is a 10-year-old local art competition. We will hear about the upcoming event, Art Battle for Community.
And it's been kind of a rainy afternoon. This is a perfect example of it. This is a live shot from the city of Holland. This is that Energy Park where they continue to build and work on their new public works department. You can see all the puddles there on the ground. When does the rain move out? And when do the warmer temperatures and eventually the cooler temperatures move in? We'll explain coming up next.
You're watching Fox 17 News.